Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. I actually came upon something, I think a viewer put me onto this, and I was over on Reddit and I found this. I'm going to go ahead and start quoting reddit.com under the title, "I got almost denied of entering Thailand." Quoting directly, "This is my report of something that happened as it might help someone else. Recently, I arrived Thailand in the Suvarnabhumi airport after a long, exhaustive 29-hour flight. At the immigration line, I was unlucky enough to be in the queue of an officer that was kind of more picky than usual. As you come to find, this wasn't really a matter of being more picky." Quoting further, "Both lines on my side were moving much faster than my line, and that 7-8 people queue to the specific immigration officer took like 30 minutes to go. On my turn, I had passport, TDAC, and ongoing, TDAC is Thailand Digital Arrival Card." Quoting further, "an ongoing flight, all printed and easy. He asked where I am going to stay, which I answered, and asked to see booking, which I hadn't print, so I showed on my phone. During the whole time, he was back and forth on my passport pages, which are almost full. I have 5 or 6 pages left. Here comes the catch. I used to have 3 full-page visas on my passport, 2 for Laos and 1 for Vietnam, which are no longer necessary in my life. Both Laos and Vietnam make you attach this whole page visa on your passport and then later stamp on the next page. As they are single use, after I used, I took the liberty to remove." Yeah, bad idea. I'll get into that in a minute. "When I removed the Vietnam one, I wasn't as careful as I should have been, and it left a lot of glue residue in the passport. The page is intact, no holes or damage, but when you have it on hand, it is clear there was something there. I have this for at least 5 years now. It was a pre-COVID visa, and nobody ever paid attention to that, but because there was not many pages left and he was swapping all pages, and maybe because he was one of those quote-unquote attention to detail person, he noticed." Yeah, look, you can sit here and blame the immigration officer on this. The fact of the matter is a visa was removed from a passport. That is an issue in any immigration context. Quoting further, "There is 2 buttons in the immigration cabin, yellow and red. Then he presses the yellow button and a big red light starts flashing in the cabin. Another immigration officer comes from outside. They exchange a few words in Thai and she escorts me to an interrogation room." Yeah, so I'm making another video contemporaneously with that one where I discuss secondary inspection. But the point of this video and the reason for the alert is, look, I do get it. I get that, the usage of these full-page visa stickers or stamps that they'll put into people's passports are a pain. They use up a whole page, and then you get a stamp that uses up at least a quarter of another page. And as time goes on and you start using up passport pages, you don't really want to pay the whatever $150 to $200 it costs to get a new passport. And the whole thing is just a matter of sort of bureaucratic headache. I do get it, but you're going to get into some real problems if you remove full visas from a passport. And by the way, there are mechanisms by which they can look into those things, especially from the place where you had the visa to begin with. Like, for example, I think you mentioned Laos and Vietnam were the 2 places where jurisdictions from which he had visas that he removed them from the passport. And if you were to go back to Laos or Vietnam, that could be a real problem because they're going to have questions as to why you're removing evidence of travel history. They always are. This is a big problem. And it's something that I've noticed over the years folks don't take overly seriously. And again, I don't think everybody has to be an immigration Poindexter in their life, and you don't have to take every little thing seriously. And I really do have a problem shifting all of our paradigms into this notion that we all have to be insanely worried about every little thing that's in our passport. But that said, this is a pretty big deal. Once a visa page is used up, be it a visa sticker, a visa stamp, or multiple visa stamps, it is very, very unwise to alter that page in any way, if for no other reason than you can find yourself in a secondary inspection situation in a third country. In this case, this person was in Thailand. It didn't really lead to that big of a deal. As noted in the title, this person was almost denied entry. They ultimately were let in. But long story short, you don't want to put yourself into a position where you're basically stuck in a man trap somewhere and they're pulling you into secondary inspection because you've altered your travel history, you've altered your travel document. That's really, really problematic. I know it seems like something to many that's innocuous, but at the end of the day, it is not. It can be a real problem. So for those who are watching this video, take this alert seriously. If you're even thinking about removing visa stickers or visa stamps from your passport, it's probably a good idea to think again.